play a simple rumba like this, you have all the elements you need to play a very cool R&B rhythm like this. And in this video, I'm going to teach you exactly that rhythm in a few simple steps using Marvin Gaye's What's Going On as our template. Okay, what do we need to be able to play this? We need to be able to do a couple bar chords. I'll show you those in just a second. We're going to be using the index finger down and up and an occasional upstroke with a thumb. And we're going to do this very cool hit, which gives us the effect of a snare drum, where we go down with our index finger and we silence the strings at exactly the same time. It's not really the same as a slap in a rumba, where we might go like this and slap with an open palm, although that's very cool to do also. This is a much more aggressive, I think, and tight sound going like that. We'll talk more about that in a second. Let's look at the chords first. All right, we're starting out with E major 7. We're going to bar the 4th fret fully, and this you might recognize as a C form, but take your middle finger away and we have a major 7th, D sharp over that chord, E major 7. You could also play the open E string, but in this song we want to cover all the strings so that we can get a lot of the string muting that you heard me do. Okay, the second chord is C sharp minor 7, just like this. So the ring finger can stay where it was and the bar is still where we had it. So now we'll go down here to F sharp minor 7. Put your pinky up on top here. You don't have to do this if you don't like that. Good pinky practice though. That is F sharp minor 7, with or without this pinky. Then we'll go up to the 7th fret, still with a full bar, and we'll play, we're shooting for B7 in a second, but put your pinky here, that's B7 sus4, and then we go to B7. Each chord gets 2 measures. At the end though, those 2 measures get split between these 2 chords. So we're gonna go 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, okay? C sharp minor 7 for 2 measures. 1, 2, 3, then we got F sharp minor 7, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, B7, sus4, and then B7, 2, 3, 4, and we're back. If you don't like to do this with these bars or you're having trouble with that, you could play it like this. Play C major, open, but take this finger off. There's C major 7. Then we have A minor 7. You could play D minor 7 like this. These are all the same chords in the same chord progression. And then G, G7, or you got that G sus, and then G that way. And you can take everything that I just showed you there and put a capo on the 4th fret and play the exact same thing, and you can match the recording of the song, which was in the key of E major. Quickly, what are the function of these chords? Let's give them their Roman numerals. This is Roman numeral 1, that's the 1 chord. Then we have the 6, which is our minor chord. That's where the relative minor scale lives right there. Our 2 chord, F sharp minor or F sharp minor 7. And then B7 is our 5 chord. So we have a 1, 6, 2, 5. Super common doo-wop. Old jazz songs and even modern songs use that progression all the time. All right, just so we don't lose sight of what we're doing, here's what we're going to ultimately try to do. The rhythm we're going for, but let's see, how do we get there? Let's strip this way down and then build up to it. We're going to start by having that first chord, E major 7. For what I'm going to show you here, you could use your index the entire time, but I like to use my thumb just before I do those hits, and that's kind of in keeping with some rumba stuff that you might know. But very common to do a thumb upstroke before we do a slap. It just makes anatomical sense to do that. So with my index finger though, the way I'm going to do it is go down with your index, up with your index, down with your index, but then up with your thumb. So notice how my thumb had to leave a little bit early in anticipation of that. Watch this. Down, up. I threw my thumb off because I know that's happening, right? Here's all we're going to do. 1, E, and a slap. And I said the word slap, but it's not really a slap like I mentioned earlier. More of a hit. And I'm using kind of, not my full palm, just the side of my palm a little bit. I'm exaggerating it here for you. At the same instant that I hit the strings, and just for extra insurance and extra percussiveness, I'm relaxing over here. So it really sounds like a snare drum, which is going just at that moment. 1, E, and a smack. Let's call it a smack. Okay, all we're doing is this. 1 E and a hit, 3 E and a hit, right? 1 E and a 2, 3 E and a 4. We'll get more fancy in a minute. Okay, now let's just add more 16th notes. So we had this, 1 E and a 2, and then just go E and a. There, a slap isn't coming up, so I didn't use the thumb at all. I just went after the hit, I just came up with the index, down with the index, up again. And we're going to repeat that whole thing for a full measure. So here's all we have. Now Now those slaps on the 2 and the 4, or smacks or hits, are what we would call a backbeat. Very common, like that's what a snare drum would do in some like just classic rock kind of groove. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Because this is a 16th note groove though, the tempo is not really that fast, but it feels fast because of all those 16th notes that are in there. So the tempo is actually pretty slow. We're going 1, 2, 3, 4, right? 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4. Let's look at what we have so far. Now, a good strategy, like I was saying, is to relax here right when you do the hit. But when things are going fast, it's hard to remember that. But let's check. Watch my left hand here. See what happened there? That's our next step into this rhythm. I relaxed it so that we could get insurance that we're going to have a really tight pitchless percussive hit there, but I left it relaxed, and that gave us the next step in my system for getting us into this groove. So now we have an entire rest of the beat, that's 3/16 notes after the hit, which are just muted strings like this. I said pitchless, but there's some harmonics in there, right? Sounds good though. That rhythm sounds pretty cool all by itself. There's a song waiting to happen there. You should go home and write a song based around that rhythm. And by the way, this groove, this chord progression and this groove that we're going to learn is so fun to improvise over. So you should record yourself playing this when you get it down. And there's so many variations and different iterations of it we can do. We're in the key of E major here, and nothing's really weird. There's no non-diatonic notes or anything in the chords. So you could just jam out all day over that in the key of E. Really explore the neck in the key of E major, and that's some of the best practice you can do, I think, is practicing over backing tracks. Making your own backing tracks is far better, I think, than just finding them online, because it really kind of proves that you have the rhythm down and the rhythm in your mind, and you know what the chords are in your head. That's just a great and fun way to trick yourself into practicing more. Okay, we almost have the whole thing here, but there's some syncopation coming up. But before we get there, instead of playing 4 16th notes at the beginning, let's play an 8th note and 2 16ths like this. 1 and a 2. So instead of going down, up, we go down, down, up. With a 16th note groove, we almost always want to go down on the numbers and down on the ands, and then up when we say E and right? 1 E and is down, up, down, up. Okay, by now we should have the fundamentals of this down, and now we can get the real thing happening here. So here's what we're going to do. We're still on the same chord. We'll start moving the chords in a second. It's just going to be the same rhythm that we applied to all of those chords. But now we're going to go like this. Now, that's the whole thing that we're shooting for. There was another spot in there, I don't know if you noticed, where I relaxed, but I didn't hit the strings. It wasn't string muting. It wasn't before or after a hit. It's actually where the tie would be in the rhythm. But if I didn't do it, watch what it sounds like. I think it's a vast improvement. But here's what it would sound like if I didn't relax in the middle. Still think it sounds good, but here's what we're shooting for here. Did you catch it right there? Right there in the middle. What we could call the syncopated part of this rhythm happens by doing 2 thumb upstrokes in a row, in the middle of which I would do that relaxing that I was just talking about. So there's going to be just a couple of modifications to what we've already done. We go down, down, up. Okay, that was down with the index, down with the index again, then up with the thumb. Then we have our hit. We can relax right there, and we're going to go up, down, but here, because we want to get an accent is why this is happening. Now we're going up with the thumb again, accent that part, I mean hit it harder, right? And then relax, and then up again with the thumb. So that's just a little bit more than the half of the measure. Now there I added the index finger downstroke after that thumb thing. I would practice this for a while though. Those are those 3 elements. Up with the thumb, relax as you come back down with the thumb, because we need to do up with the thumb again. Don't get stuck in the air with your thumb, kind of keep it flowing like this. There's a practice for you. That's hours of fun right there. Getting used to that. See, I never stop. A lot of people, a lot of students, when there's a tie or a rest, they want to stop, and then that just kills your momentum, and you're going to be off, and it's going to be wrong, and it's going to sound wrong. Like this, okay? So we go up, relax, up, and then down with the index. That's really the focal point of the weirdness, of the coolness of this rhythm. And then at the end, we're just going to have a slap, and you can go 4E and A, muted or not muted. But what I prefer to do more often than not, they both sound good though, is just to go down, up. In which case this hit was an 8th note. So the end we can go 4 and A, or we can go 4E and A, either way. There's the whole rhythm. Let's apply it to all the chords now. 1, 2, 3, 4. This is such a cool rhythm for so many songs. Another R&B song that I love is Kiss of Life by Sade. Let's see if this rhythm works over that song. We got A major 7, F sharp minor 7 again. Then we have D major 7, C sharp minor 7, same chord from the Marvin Gaye song. Then down to B minor 7, landing back on F sharp minor 7. Let's check it out. See, over those chords, I did something a little bit different because that's what the song requires. A little section there that goes in the middle of the beat there. But for the most part, the rest of it was the same. And the chorus to the song is just B minor 7 to F sharp minor 7, and we have this. That's another song that's super fun to solo over. So like I mentioned at the beginning, if you already can play a rumba, you totally can play this, and that's not all. With nylon string guitar, with those Spanish guitar techniques, there's no style of music that you can't play. I mean, we've got the drums, we've got the bass, we've got the guitar, we've got all those elements that we can put together, which when you're playing with a pick, that's not necessarily the case most of the time. And because the strings are nylon, we can use our fingers and get all these rasgueos, the Spanish guitar fancy things, right? Which you can't do on a steel string without shredding your nails off. So be sure to like and subscribe and let me know if you have any trouble with this rhythm. And if you do, you might need to check out my Spanish guitar bootcamp video where I talk about all of these rhythms, how to count them, and how to read them on the page.